Hey there, Polars! In this video, I'm going to be guiding you on how to achieve your forearm climb. While it's possible to learn a forearm climb as your first climb, you might be better off starting with a basic climb. So if you haven't learned to climb yet, I recommend checking out my basic climb video first. Learning your forearm climb can allow for more variation in your climbing and for a smoother entrance and exit to and from your climb into other tricks or moves. Each exercise will be repeated on each side from multiple different views. Learning the setup for forearm climbs will probably feel awkward and uncomfortable, but hopefully seeing it from these multiple views will make it a little more understandable. And with that, let's get right into the video. I'm going to start by standing to one side of the pole to show you where the pole should lie on your forearm. Choosing and lifting one arm, you're going to rotate that arm so your elbow comes into your body. Turn that wrist so your palm is facing forward and ready to grab the pole. All you'll do now is approach the pole to where you're grabbing the pole with it resting along the length of your forearm. Because of the rotation of your arm, your elbow will be slightly to one side of the pole and your wrist will be slightly to the other side of the pole. Think about rotating that arm in the opposite direction of before so that your elbow goes away from your body. Your other hand will grab above your head, thinking about pulling the pole down in order to engage that shoulder and complete the forearm grip. Switching to the other side, lift that new arm up for the forearm grip. Rotate that elbow in, turn your palm to face forward, and step to the pole to grab it, with the length of it along the forearm with your elbow slightly to one side and your wrist slightly to the other. Again, think about rotating the elbow away from your body. Your other hand grabs above your head, and you're going to think about pulling the pole down. From a side view, and another way to approach this grip, place the elbow slightly to the inside of the pole first, and lay your forearm along the pole, turning your wrist to grab it with your palm away from you. You're still going to think about that opposite rotation of your arm and elbow in order to add stability and strength. Your other hand grabs above your head and thinks about pulling the pole down. Once again, on the other side, place the elbow slightly to the inside of the pole first, lay your forearm along the pole, and turn your wrist to grab it with your palm away from you. Again, think about that opposite rotation of your arm and elbow in order to add stability and strength. Your other hand grabs above your head and thinks about pulling the pole down. For this first exercise, in order to get used to this grip and build some strength, you're going to start by standing on tiptoes facing the pole. Choose an arm to be your bent arm and place that forearm along the pole as we just did, with your other arm above you. All you're going to do for this exercise is flex your toes so your feet come off the ground. Your forearm pressing and rotating against the pole will help keep your body away from the pole, and your straight arm pulling the pole down will help give you the strength to keep your feet off the ground. Switching to the other side, your new arm will be bent with the forearm along the pole, and your other arm will reach above your head to grab the pole. Thinking about pressing and rotating that new forearm and thinking about pulling down with that new straight arm, you're once again going to flex your toes so your feet come off the ground. As I continue to show this exercise, try to get 3 to 5 solid reps on each side. This exercise is harder than it might look, and your feet might not come off the ground at first. If the pole feels like it's digging into any bones, specifically your wrist or elbow bones, try shifting your grip or rotating more or less to keep the pole along the meatier part of your forearm. While it might be uncomfortable, it shouldn't be overly painful, especially not on any bones. For this next exercise, the setup is exactly the same. This time, instead of flexing your feet, the goal is to lift your knees up to your chest. The goal is to eventually have your bent legs be between you and the pole, but if they bend on either side of the pole as you see here, that's perfectly fine. Again, we're mainly just trying to get used to the grip and build strength. As I continue to show this exercise, as always, try to get 3 to 5 solid reps on each side. this starts feeling comfortable for you and you'd like a challenge, try turning them into repeaters where your feet don't touch down in between the reps. The next exercise is very similar to the last, but this time instead of bending your knees to your chest, you're going to try to lift your legs out straight in front of you. Again, the main goal here is to get comfortable supporting yourself in a forearm grip and build some strength before climbing. As usual, as I continue to show this exercise, try getting 3 to 5 solid reps on each side. Once again, if this feels comfortable and you'd like a challenge, try turning them into repeaters where your feet don't touch down in between the reps. Now let's try getting into the climb position from a forearm grip. Choosing one arm to be your bent arm, you're going to choose that same side leg to be your bent leg. Lift that leg to the pole with the front of the leg along the length of it. Lift your other leg off the ground to come in front of the pole in your climb position, just like you did for your basic climb. The only real difference here is your grip with your arms. As always, do both sides. Choose your other arm to be your bent arm, choosing that new same side leg to be your bent leg. Lift that leg to the pole with the front of the leg along the length of it, and lift your other leg off the ground to come in front of the pole in your climb position. Once again, as I continue to show this exercise, try getting into your climb position at least 3 times on each side. If this starts feeling comfortable and you'd like a challenge, try lifting both legs to the pole at the same time, remembering to bring the same side leg as your bent arm to the back of the pole. Finally, we're ready to try a forearm climb. Just as before, get into your climb position. Once in your climb position, stand up and keep your hands where they are. As you stand up, your straight arm will bend and rotate to become your new forearm pressing against the pole. Your previously bent arm will reach above you and become your new straight arm pulling the pole down. In this new forearm grip, you should be able to release your knees enough to lift them up towards your chest before re-gripping the pole for your climb position once again. Switching which side you start on, get into your climb position once again. Stand up in this climb position and keep your hands where they are. Your straight arm will bend and rotate to become the new forearm pressing against the pole, while your bent arm will now reach above you and become your new straight arm pulling the pole down. As always, and one last time for this video, as I continue to show this exercise, try to get 3 solid climbs on either side, remembering to alternate which arm is your bent arm with the forearm pressed against the pole. If these start feeling comfortable and you'd like a challenge, the first thing you can try is lifting both legs to the pole at the same time at the start of this climb, instead of one at a time. The second thing you can try for an added challenge is turning your climbs into repeaters by sliding down the pole but not touching down in between climb reps. Time for some common mistakes. Proper placement of your forearm on the pole is important. If your forearm doesn't come across the pole at all, your bent arm can come forward when you try to stand in your climb position, and you'll have a hard time keeping distance between your body and the pole. That being said, if you place your elbow directly on the pole without that rotation at all, there will be a large amount of pressure on your elbow bone, and it will be painful and even damaging. Again, think about rotating your arm so your elbow is slightly to the side of the pole with the meatier parts of your forearm along the length of the pole. The last mistake isn't exactly a mistake, but more of a disfavor, for lack of a better word. A flexed foot or anchor foot can not only make you feel more stable, but it can also be chosen for aesthetic purposes and is perfectly acceptable. But if you plan on trying to keep your toes pointed later down the road, I recommend starting to train yourself to do that sooner than later. It's a hard habit to break. I've over-exaggerated these mistakes, but avoiding them will really help you in the long run. As always, thanks so much for watching.